Hi everyone, welcome to the 16th episode of the Slow Spin Society podcast. As always, I'm Fabian, and today, as always, with Paul.
Hi everyone.
We're going to be talking about the history of the hour record, probably the most well-known track discipline in the world for all of us, or most of us at least. So we'll be talking about the history, the rule changes, the big names, the equipment, etc. But if you want to hear more about Mass Effect Remaster, other RPG games, winter bikepacking, and bivy bags, then you should listen to the pre-show, which you can access at patreon.com/SlowSpinSocietyPodcast, podcast, but more on that later.
More on that later indeed. And yeah, the hour record, which is also called like the purest of records in cycling, because it is like something super freaking hard, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, so the definition of the hour record is the name gives most of the information away, but the hour record is the longest distance cycled in 1 hour on a bicycle from a stationary start. And this is only done so at least with the UCI version, the modern version since 1972, this is done in a velodrome with a track bike, with no one else present. So it's just you, the bike, and the velodrome.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You, the bike, the weight of your bike, your weight, the wind, drag effect, like everything. But yeah.
I'm like, at least these are always done indoors at least, so there
yeah.
No.
Yeah, when I was saying wind, I was more
like when you go fast, the wind through your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, like that, yeah.
Or through your helmet, depends. But but yeah, the hour record is like it's also called like the race of truth, because it is such a huge monument into cycling. And we're gonna start with Eddy Merckx in 1972. There was a attempt before that and other records before that, but I guess when Eddy Merckx he set the benchmark in 72, it's good that we start there, because if we start before, we can be there for like 5 hours and you guys are never going to see the end of that podcast. So let's start there.
Yeah.
As I was saying, we're going to start with Eddy Merckx record in 72. So 1972. Most of you already know the bike that he was using. Everything will be put in the show notes, because we're going to discuss on some pictures and we have them in the show notes in front of us, but you guys don't. So it will be in the show notes on the website. So that orange bike, built with his friend Ernesto Colnago, was to be the lightest possible, and it was at the time, because it was only 5.5 kilos in 72 for a steel bike, which is pretty intense. So it was made out of Colombia's special record tubing. It has a custom Pino Moroni titanium stem, Sinelli's Campione del Mondo handlebars, and other components, but it was like full of tweaks, like we were talking a few weeks back about Drillium.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Drillium originated from there or before, but so much stuff on that bike was drilled. So handlebars, seat post, chain stays, and each and individual chain links were drilled. Just imagine the work into that to drill each and individual chain links. And yeah, that bike was also not meant to go street riding or anything that would put a lot of pressure on it, not for sprinting or anything like that, because the hour record is about having a steady amount of watts for an hour. So it's bikes that are not meant to take a lot of stress, I guess. Chainring and pedal cages were cut. Hubs had hollow axles and smaller nuts, no dust caps, the smallest amount of bar tape possible just at the very end of the drops, because I guess you you constantly in the most aero position possible. And for the wheel setup was also pretty intense. So he had Fiamme ergol rims, which at the time were 285 gram a rim. As a comparison, an H% archetype is 480 grams today. That's light. And then he had zinc-plated spokes and super thin Clement setup piston tubular tires that were meant to only last for a few hours on the track before losing pressure. They were that thin.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy if you think about all the work that went into it, but not just the work, but also all the risks he took. He must have had a lot of faith in his bike.
Yeah.
Because I would never. I mean, he's not skidding or braking or anything, but just drilling into the chains and the seat stays and everything. That's insane.
It's
by today's standards.
Yeah, Eddy Merckx is just like your 9072 weight weenie boy. He's
he
like
actually pushes
so into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the end result is like a bike under 5.5 kilos. It's nothing for a steel frame.
Yeah, and of course now there's all like the UCI weight regulations and stuff. So, but this was all before then, I suppose. And most of I think even like half of these things he did to the bike wouldn't be illegal anymore, according to UCI.
Probably, like, yeah. We're gonna talk about UCI rules later, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he built that bike with Ernesto Colnago, and I never understood why some Colnagos had like an orange and blue paint like that Merckx before, and now I understand that he had like that Italian sponsor. And so at the time, that sponsor was like the orange and blue paint, asked him to do on the Vicarelli Velodrome. So he traveled there from Belgium to Italy. And unfortunately, the weather was like it was raining for days and they couldn't attempt anything. And so he went to Mexico. And in Mexico, you know that the velodrome is actually higher above sea level. So when you go higher, you have less air pressure. Basically, you have less draft, right? Editing poll here. What's up, everyone? Editing poll again. So yeah, I meant drag, not draft. So the higher above sea level you go, the thinner the air is, and then yeah, the less air resistance you have. So yeah, I meant drag, not draft. My bad. See ya.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to be less. I mean, you could be less aero or put less watts down, since you have less draft. It's easier, but there's also less oxygen in the air. So yeah. He actually switched his ratio from 50-14 to 50-15 because it was just that much harder. So he had to like back up 1T.
And so this was at the velodrome in Mexico City, and that was at, what's the elevation? The elevation was either 2,300 meters or 7,500 feet, which is higher than it was in at the Vigarelli velodrome.
Yeah.
That might have given him the edge as well. But yeah, like these little minute details really are taken into account, as you can see by him drilling everything and saving every gram.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it all adds up in the end.
Yeah, and so that year he set the benchmark with the hour record was 49.431 kilometers. So 49 kilometers in 1972 was like where everything started, basically.
Yeah. So that's 30.7 miles in 1 hour.
For your fellows Americans.
Which is nuts. 49 kilometers in 1 hour.
Yeah, that's already like that's already a lot from my point of view.
On a track bike, yeah. But let's see. So yeah, across the history of the hour record, there are 3 different versions that the UCI has slowly introduced. So the first version was with Eddy Merckx, where he could just do wherever he wanted, basically drilling everything using tubular tires that would fall apart after a few hours, etc. And that was in 1972. But then in 1997, the UCI changed the rules because, there was an increasing reliance on advanced bike technology and innovations that Eddy Merckx didn't have access to. So then people were trying all these different equipments like disc wheels and handlebar positions, etc., to beat the record. And then the UCI stepped in to kind of standardize everything. And in that case, the UCI made a distinction between a UCI record, which was using the similar or as similar as possible equipment as Eddy Merckx, so steel track bike and normal
Drop bars.
Drop bars and normal rims and everything. And they made a distinction between that, so that's the UCI record, and best human effort. And best human effort would allow people to use more advanced equipment and innovative positions, etc. So, but one rule that I think is one of the most important things is that they don't allow the cyclist to have a bike computer to track time or distance, because even though this is a massive physical endeavor, the hour record, it's a very, very mental challenge as well to keep going for 1 hour, never knowing when that hour is finished, never knowing if you're close or over the record or just far away. And I think that's an insane thing to do for 1 hour as you're really pushing the max you can for 60 minutes.
Yeah, so now they're allowed to, there's a big display, they're allowed to see the time. But
really?
Yeah, they are allowed to see the time, but they're basically always the head looking down, in the bars. Yeah. So I don't know if they actually look, but I watched that interview and the guy was saying the last 5 minutes are actually when you can lose it completely, because it is so hard, and you can't actually push more watts. We're going to talk a lot about watts today. But they all say the first 30 minutes is a walk in the park, and then after that it's just going through hell.
Yeah. So so 1972 is the first version of the hour record. That's with Eddy Merckx setting the record at 49.4 kilometers. And then in 1997, that's when the UCI changed it and made the distinction between the UCI record, so using Eddy Merckx type gear, and the best human effort. And then in 2014, so fairly recently, the UCI, they created the unified record, but more on that in a bit. So when Eddy Merckx did his first record, he was just using, as we said before, a normal track bike and everything, in no TT helmet, no disc or tri-spoke wheels or aero bars or anything. It's just a normal thing. And then in the best human effort, the most notable one, in my opinion, is Chris Boardman's attempt, where he achieved 56.3 kilometers. So 7 kilometers more. But at that time, he was using equipment that was now banned. And we'll go more into that later as well.
Yeah, the Chris Boardman attempt, because it's not a record anymore, it's considered as an attempt, right?
Yeah.
With those 56.3 kilometers was crazy, and he was not using conventional hand position and conventional. He was all out into the new technologies, right?
Yeah.
And as today, it's still the highest distance, even today, which is crazy. It was in that time in the 90s when people in cycling were trying everything, monocoque carbon frames and crazy positions, the Superman position, the Mantis position. We're going to talk about those later, but yeah, the best human effort, who started with Francesco Moser, they all tried with crazy equipments. And it's one part that I really love about cycling is when you see those old 90s TT bikes where they're half carbon, half other fibers you don't really know, and they have like wacky three spokes. And yeah, I think it's one of my favorite time in cycling ever.
Yeah. And yeah, I think in one of our earlier episodes we also talked about like innovation in the bike industry and how the UCI might be like the UCI rules are what is keeping bike innovation back as well, because we don't see those type of innovations anymore really.
Yeah, well, it's always when the UCI steps in to say, okay, kids, you calm down now with the crazy stuff. We're gonna do like normal bikes now. And it's, I mean, in a sense it's good because it puts everybody on the same, like same start line. But on the other side, it kind of stop innovation, like, I mean, crazy innovation, right? If UCI set rules, then new innovation into those rules will start to bloom.
Yeah.
But if you set like no limits at all, like, I don't know what kind of bikes we'd have today, but it would be crazy.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of like a risk of like the countries who can really afford to put millions and millions into research, they will come out ahead than like the countries who cannot, for
Yeah.
example. And
It-
then so everyone can afford, like most countries can afford, or all of them can afford like a steel track bike. So if it's all that simple, I guess it's also nice.
It would be a lot of fun to see Fixie Boys in 2020 into like the Superman position in the middle of the street. that, that'd be
They would,
funny.
I would like to see like random people that are in fixed gear community to try the hour records, see how far they can go.
You know what? It's like when I research all that episode. I mean, when we research all that episode, I kind of want to try. Just like not putting out like 100% performance and like the slick suits and everything and disc wheels, which I don't own, and everything, but just like try to run the track for an hour. I think it'd be like a cool attempt, and I'd probably do, I don't know, like 25 kilometers, but I'd be
No,
like,
I think if you just do like track bike, like normal steel track bike, let's say with drop bars, and I mean not like aero suit or anything, just like helmet and then like a bib. I think you like most of us would be able to do like 20, yeah, like around 30 kilometers in 1 hour. I think that's pretty reasonable if it's indoors and everything.
I'll 100% do it on TT bars though, because on TT bar, like, like the watt gain on
Yeah, it's a
TT
lot,
bars,
right?
it's like so much bigger than having like super deep carbon rims.
Yeah, and I forgot which website did this, but I think it was like cycling.com or something, but they did like a comparison of the watt gain for different hand positions on drop bars. So like one's on on the hoods, one is on like the straight parts on top of the bars, one's in the drops, and then like there's also like arrow in the drops, and then the last one was with the arms like hanging over the front.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
TT position. And that's the one that saved the most, like a significant amount, like 20% or something crazy like that. And yeah, I can imagine why. You're much smaller, and it's crazy that how big of a difference the position makes compared to just the equipment.
I would need someone pretty good to set them up though, because if they are too low, you can't sustain the position for an entire hour, and then you're just gonna kill yourself. Also, it's like harder to breathe if they're too low, and it can even like restrict blood pressure. But if it's too high, there is not that much gain anymore.
No.
So to set those up, you would need someone that is pretty good into bike fits.
Yeah. So I still want to do like a professional bike fit as well once I have a certain bike, but yeah, I think it seems really uncomfortable to be in TT position, and I would love to try it with like the bars, but I remember I saw this one video of like a professional TT race, and the person was on the TT bars, like carbon of course, hits a small bump and they crack.
Oh yeah, I remember that video too.
That seems like so scary. Like you really put all your trust into those bars.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not that much different from like regular drop bars. You put all your trust in the stem, but maybe it's just
Yeah.
more of a carbon thing then. I don't know, but it seems scary. So I'd like to try.
Yeah. True. I mean, those are scary because like now all your weight is in the front.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're just on the velodrome, there's not that much like pebbles or rocks in your way.
Yeah, that's true. You'd hope not. I mean,
But yeah, like for getting like a professional bike fit, just go to your closest specialized shop and bring over your 3 kilo mesh work and say, "Hey, can I have a bike fit?"
just say you want to buy the new specialized Athos, and then they give you bike fit, and then you just go home.
Okay, gonna think about it. See ya.
Exactly like that.
But yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah, I'm gonna look into getting like a professional bike fit too. We'll see that later. But I think I might have an opportunity to do one in a few months. So if that goes well, I should get a bike fit, and then I can go around the track in the best aero position possible,
Well,
like
yeah,
a
I mean, it's
pro
not just for it's,
madman.
yeah. Well, it's also just nice for like for everything, right?
Yeah.
Just knowing
I
it's
mean, I
comfortable.
know my average bike fit, riding on different bikes and buying, selling bikes sometimes. You know, like
Mm.
how high your saddle should be and how long your stem should be based on how long your top tube is. But I've
Oh
never
man.
done like something like super pro where, okay, this is your seat angle and this is like your crank arm length, blah, blah. No, I've never done
I don't know
that.
any of that. I don't even know like the seat length and shit. I just do it by feeling.
Okay, that feels great. Later.
But yeah, let's see.
Yeah. So, as Fabian told before, so you had like the UCI standard record and then the best human effort. And in 2014, UCI actually thought about it a little bit more and was like, yeah, maybe we can force people to use still bikes and drop bars nonstop for the next decades. So we're going to do something different. And they created the unified record. So it's a mix of those two classifications, but they are in line with the actual regulation of track pursuit bikes. So they can use carbon frames, monocoques, they can use TT bars, and everything, right?
Mm.
So records that were previously removed from Chris Boardman or Grammy Grammy Aubrey. I am also butchering that name, but sorry. So those records were returned, but however, the benchmark would still remain at 49.7 kilometers, set in 2005 by Ondřej Sosenka. um, but even though it was not the farther distance, that was the guy using the bike was the regulate like in line with the new unified record regulations, right?
Yeah.
So the unified record is what we have today, and the unified record it's basically the new hour record, and people can use new technology as long as it is in line with the UCI standards and UCI weight limit and all that stuff. So that's why you see like new aero bikes with disc wheels and TT bars and all that stuff, but no more crazy position like we're going to talk later.
Yeah.
I actually had one question that I couldn't answer on my own, and I wanted your take on this.
Okay.
So let's say in I don't know 20 years, that one cyclist is like super good, way above average, and is just like a master in time trial. And he does the hour record, but with almost the exact same equipment as Eddy Merckx and bits it.
Okay.
Does it still record as hour record or unified record or whatever? Or does it goes into a different category because he is not using everything that he could use right now?
That's a good question. I think it would go. I don't think it would even be recorded. Maybe as because I think to be recorded, it would have to already be like a special event. And like if the guy's just doing it, then I don't think they would record it as anything.
Yeah.
Like because Eddy Merckx, what he did was it was like a real event. So he wasn't just okay, I'll do a cycle for 1 hour, and then people saw it and then said, okay, well, let's make that into an event. But,
man, that's pretty rad.
Here, let's make an award. Let's make it like a discipline just to give you an award. I mean, yeah, but like it's always changing, right? Still, UCI like this entire discipline is over. Yeah, I think almost 200 years old, and they're still changing the rules. Oh, well, UCI has been around for what, 100 years now?
I don't know, but pretty long now.
Yeah, so like Eddy Merckx was 1972. That's almost 50 years ago, and they're still changing the rules in 2014.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna change the rules again if like technology still goes on and we have new stuff, and they will have to change it again? Or do you think like the actual regulation are strong enough that it might be okay?
I mean, I think as long as like the fundamental part of the cycling discipline is the same, so like you cycle 1 hour, so 1 hour stays the same, one gear stays the same, you pedal, that stays the same. I don't know how much else they can change, because if they keep the hand positions the same, and maybe they say like the wheels, you cannot have like
anti-gravity wheels.
Yeah, like I don't know, I mean they can, of course, no motorized parts or anything, but I don't really know what else that can be changed there. Like you have to be sitting. It has to be an upright bike, so you cannot be in like one of those where you lay down, for example.
Yeah.
I think that's also. I mean, there's the Paralympics, the hour record, which is also cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the regular 1 hour. I don't really know what else could be changed in the cycling industry.
Yeah. So to sum it up, Eddy Merckx 49.4, then Chris Boardman 49.44, then Ondřej Sosenka 49.7 in 2005. That's the official UCI record, and from there we had like the unified record and the best human effort, top class. So from Francesco Moser to Chris Boardman with a non-UCO legal bike up to like 56 kilometer, which is insane.
Yeah. So like the difference between the Eddy Merckx record and the Chris Boardman record, the UCI records, like the UCI record, difference was 10 meters. Chris Boardman cycled further than Eddy Merckx.
Dude, 10 meters, that was what, like 30 years later?
Yeah, 10 meters.
And I guess between that, there's a lot of temps.
Yeah, and not just that, but like 30 years later, there's all of like the research done in like nutrition, how to train, the muscle groups, all of that. And still, it took 30 years to beat Merckx by 10 meters.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Merckx is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so to go on to the main figures in the event. So as we said millions of times so far, Eddy Merckx is probably the most well-known. And then followed by that, Francesco Moser from Italy. So Eddy Merckx from Belgium, Francesco Moser from Italy. And Moser beat Merckx's record 12 years later in 1984 with 51.151 kilometers or 31.7 miles. So this was before the whole distinctions between unified, best human effort, etc. So back then, this is when Moser beat Merckx. And this was the first recorded use of disc wheels on the track. So this is also already shows the innovation in the cycling industry, maybe helping Moser beat Merckx. And yeah, this was like later moved into the best human effort by the UCI in 1997. It's another 13 years later because of the use of disc wheels. But at the time, Merckx's reaction to Moser beating him was, for the first time in history of the hour record, a weaker man has beaten a stronger man.
Oh my god.
So those are really strong words.
That burns sick. Fuck.
That's really like, that would make Yeah, imagine if the guy says that to you and then you're like, imagine he says that to you and you beat him just because he says that to you just because he had disc wheels. But in if you like somehow analyze it now that the disc wheels didn't really help much and you beat him fair and square, you cannot really say that anymore because you used to did the wheels.
Yeah,
So
man. And I
and
think
it,
like mothers will mothers will your mother's wheels mother's wheels at the time were like super heavy, so like pretty hard to get them to rotate.
yeah,
But then when you launch, baby, you go and you never stop.
no,
You have that inertia from like
yeah,
those pretty heavy wheels. But yeah, and like Mother, he also tried. I think like he made an attempt, or one of his rider made an attempt. Was like a gigantic wheel. Was like twice the size of a normal wheel. Have you ever seen that pic?
I don't think so. No.
But like they had to like custom made a tubular tire because that wheel is so big. I'll put a picture in the show notes if I can ever find it. But the wheel is basically like, I don't know, it was probably like 1 meter in diameter, even more. I
My
don't,
God.
but
So that's something
crazy.
that the UCI could also like lock down, like only 700C wheels. So no like 650B in the front and 7 in the back or like anything like that. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
one thing
yeah.
that can maybe stay the same.
Even yeah, because they ban front smaller wheels pretty early on. I think the UCI.
Mm.
And I mean 700 650 was aggressive, but if you look at it today, you're like, okay, it's really aggressive. It looks a little bit funny, but okay. But then people put like 24-inch wheels in the front and it just looks dumb as shit, you know? But it was, I guess, more aggressive. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like that's one of the things that I mean it's cool to see of course, but I think that's also one of the things that is pretty easy to like prevent now in the future
Yeah.
for UCI.
One other noticeable rider was Graham Aubrey from Scotland. And so he was the pioneer of the unique tuck position, so the praying mantis thing. Was the arm resting underneath the chest, which is now completely banned by the UCI, of course. So at the time, he did like 51.59 kilometers, so beating Mother's record in 93. That position is also crazy, and you can see that guy was like, he's like an egg, basically. Like
Yeah.
an egg on his bike, and with his two three spokes wheels and that super weird frame. But that guy was so intelligent, like he was so into like aero is everything, you know? Like aero overweight all day long and aero will make the difference, which is true. But yeah, that position just looks pretty
Yeah.
dumb, but also
It,
crazy.
it looks dumb, but also crazy uncomfortable to be like that for an hour. I
Yeah.
mean, all positions look uncomfortable, but particularly that one.
Yeah, and
But
I
it's so,
just, I mean, because your arms are so tucked underneath your chest, you know, like you so contract. I don't know how you breathe well into that position, you know?
yeah, you don't try, but
But yeah, I guess Arrow over everything. So yeah, he beats the record in 93, and that that was something. On the
hmm,
complete other side of the spectrum, Chris Boardman, so UK rider, was the ultimate record, which is now banned, but 56.37 kilometers, which is like 35 miles in 96 on a modified Lotus 110, which is like the updated version of the Lotus 18. And has like the absolute record, right? Was like 56 kilometers. He used the Superman position, which is like, so you have the Mantis position where you're all tucked together, and then the Superman position when you're like leaning so much forward. Just imagining TT bars, but I don't know, like 30 centimeters further.
Yeah.
And you just like, yeah, like crazy position, super aero. And yeah, it's just, he was using like that crazy Lotus frame that has no down tube with a Mavic disc on the rear and a 5-spoke in the front. And holy shit, that position also looks mad as hell.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, these people like Aubrey and Chris Boardman and who else? Yeah, just like the ones innovating, like being innovative with the hand positions and the Merckx too and the gear use. It's really like stunning how they're willing to take any risk possible.
Yeah.
To get the record, because I mean for sure they don't. I mean actually maybe not for sure, but I wonder how many times they must have tested like these things to know that they wouldn't fall apart halfway through, or that, you know.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause, I mean, I would not drill into any part of my bike and expect it to not suddenly eat me alive or something, you know.
But I guess it was also at a time where, I mean, CAT simulation was, even in the 90s, it was still like well underdeveloped.
Yeah.
So kind of the only way you could try if something works was by actually doing it. And yeah, those people, I mean, it was worth the risk if the UCI, I mean, Eddy Merckx is like one of the absolute main figure in cycling today. If you didn't know, he also have his own bike brand. Huh, crazy. I know. But also like Chris Boardman, like those people, they were willing to take the risk and to go discover new things into cycling. And I mean, I would not. If like my coach was like, yeah, dude, you should try those new handlebars. And
never tried before.
And you take a look at them and they look that they're gonna stab you if you make any mistake. I would be like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think like that's exactly the thing. Like these people, they want to be the best in the world, and like to be the best in the world in anything like that requires effort like this, you really do have to do what it takes, take any risk possible, etc. And that's why they're the best in the world, right? For that reason.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And that's why also I'm not the best in the world, because I wouldn't do this shit for an hour.
Yeah. But damn, and we're gonna also link like the picture of Chris into the show notes, but that Lotus bikes looks hella cool. I mean,
yeah,
it just looks so flush, you know?
Yeah. So like all of these big names like Aubrey, Merckx, Moser, Boardman. I'm probably forgetting someone. Yeah, who's that last person?
Sosenka?
Yeah, Sosenka. So these are like the big names so far. But now, as of 2019, there's a new world record. And so the first world record, as we all know, is Eddy Merckx from Belgium. And then there was Italy, there's the UK, etc. And now there's a new world record by Victor Campenaerts of Belgium. So this is full circle.
Yeah, bringing back to the French fries country.
Yeah. French fries country. If you say French fries in Belgium, man, they'll fuck you up.
Okay, French fries and beer.
Just fries. Just
fries, okay.
But yeah, so Victor Campenaerts of Belgium, he beat the world record with 55.089 kilometers in 1 hour using a Ridley Ridley track bike, aero bars, and 2 disc wheels. And he did this on the 19th of April 2019 at the, I'm gonna fuck this up, Aguascalientes Bicentenary Velodrome in Mexico.
It's so pretty Mexico good. It's pretty good.
So Mexico as well as Eddy Merckx, and he beat the record. And the previous record was held by Bradley Wiggins from the UK, and he beat Bradley Wiggins's record by 563 meters. So since 2015, there's no record that went above 54 kilometers for the hour record. So Bradley Wiggins was the previous one, and now the new record is 55.089.
Yeah.
There have been numerous attempts since Bradley Wiggins in 2015 up to now, but no one has gone above 54 kilometers.
Yeah. Have you seen the stream? Because there is a YouTube video.
Yeah. It's so cool.
If you go to the end, so he beats the record, and then he does a number of laps to just like calm down, I guess, and try to get out of his zone. But he gets out of the bike and he's just like zoning out in a chair, you know? You can see in his eyes he's in another world. He's not there.
Like in the video, he's like drinking like a cold can of Coke, and I can only imagine how nice that must have been. Like all that sugar and everything. Oh man! But yeah, like he even like shaved his head and everything, and you can see from like in the interview, like on his forehead, you could see like the red spots from the helmet and everything. Like, everything about this just seems so uncomfortable.
And so epic at the same time.
And then like just like 5 minutes after breaking the world record, the people start interviewing him.
Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't be able to do that either.
No, I wouldn't be either. Because you just put like the biggest effort of your life and the biggest human effort in cycling, and people
then
are
they
like,
come up to you.
How does it feel like?
Yeah. How do you like your steak? Rare or medium rare? like shut the fuck up. But yeah, so the bike he used is the Ridley Arena Hour record. Very, very nice looking bike. But the most striking part, I think, for me is 330mm custom handlebars, so TT bars, specifically made and molded to his forearms. So these were like made to have like perfect or as much comfort as one can have during an event like this. And then of course like the double disc wheels, Campenaerts drivetrain, like special aero paint. I don't even know what the hell that means. Aero paint. It's red bike, so maybe red goes faster.
Ferrari.
Yeah. So and he used a ratio of 55-14, which is 3.92. So 49-17, a common ratio. I think that's around 2.7 or so.
Yeah.
So this is quite a chunk higher, and doing this for an hour.
So of course we don't have the numbers because they are not allowed to have a bike computer, right? But people estimated that he was putting down 540, 550 watts for an entire hour. Just imagine putting that number of watts for an entire hour. That's insane. That's a lot of watts. But yeah, like the full Campagnolo Ghibli wheels looks awesome. The bike looks great. It's just like, it kind of looks like a SpaceX things, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, but I cannot imagine. Like sometimes when I'm like cycling, I'm like, okay, let's sprint now just to see how fast I can go. And like it's like 50, 55 or something, like at the best, you know. And I can do that for maybe like a few seconds, like 2-3 seconds. And these guys are doing that for an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unimaginable how they can do that. For like sometimes I'm like thinking, I'm like, okay, down to 3 minutes, and I look at like the seconds going down, 1, 2, 3, and a minute is really, really long if you do it like that. And then doing that 60 times while your legs are burning, your mind is burning, everything's burning.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm going to correct myself real quick here. It was not 500. It was 440, 50 watts.
Okay.
Which is already a lot, but...
Yeah.
But...
So...
Yeah. So... Fuck. So Victor Campenaerts just broke like the 55 kilometers barrier, which is, yeah, crazy. The real question now is, I'm pretty sure I will never seen that in my life because it's too short. But the 60 kilometers barrier, do you think it's possible? Because I mean, 60 kilometers an hour for a bike rider is, if you say it like this, like, oh dude, like my last ride was in a downhill and I did like 60 k's an hour. It sounds, yeah, of course. but 60 kilometers an hour when you have like no tailwind or no downhill, it's just you, the bike, and your muscles. It sounds insane.
Yeah, like I mean, so Eddy Merckx in 1972 he did like 49.4 or something, 49.7 kilometers, and then Chris Boardman with all the special shit he did 56. So that's, I think it was more or less 7 kilometers more, and right now it's 55 kilometers, and to get to 60 is another 5. But I think we're already at that peak of like bike, I mean not bike innovation, but like what can be done on a track bike to make
Yeah.
it go faster. Like how I mean I don't know, because like it's the same with the marathon, the 54-kilometer marathon. Like people thought for the longest time you cannot do it in less than 2 hours,
Yeah.
and the world record holder, I think he's from Kenya, and everyone in like most marathon like record holders and everything, winners or whatever, all from that same area in Kenya. And people think it's because of like the air quality there, or the
genes.
yeah, the genes, the elevation, etc. And I think in the end it might just depend on like for that one special person
Yeah.
to have the perfect day, to have the perfect legs on that day. But I think it's just really like a really tiny chance that it
Because
will happen anytime soon or anything. But
yeah, to attempt that kind of thing, you already need to be special. So you like some things can't be achieved through training, because you already need like a VO2 max that is crazy high, like in the 70s. VO2 max is the amount of oxygen, I think is the amount of oxygen that your tissues can store for a defined amount of time.
yeah,
But I mean, that's something that you can train to a certain extent, but either you're born with it or you don't. So already
yeah,
takes someone that is pretty special.
definitely,
And so there is the rider, right? So the rider to some extent can be improved, but then there is the track, and there is the bike, and there is the location of all of that. So you know that most of those attempts were made on wooden tracks because they just roll better than concrete tracks. But maybe in the future we'll see like a different kind of wood that has less rolling resistance. That
yeah,
happened before. I think there's a track in Bordeaux, France that used like exotic wood, was like super thin rolling resistance, but now it's like banned because you can't use that wood anymore because it's rare or something.
mm,
Um, and then like there is the track location. So the more you go in altitude, the less air resistance you have. Like the air is less dense, is thinner, so you have less resistance. But on the other side, you have less oxygen to work with. The trade-off usually is in your favor, because if you do training with that amount of air pressure, you can get through it. But I don't know, maybe sometimes in the future we'll see like a velodrome that is built higher than the one right now in Mexico, or the highest one, whatever it might be. And yeah, the next thing is bikes, right? I mean,
yeah.
innovation. I don't know, like new bearings with less resistance, or new aero features. You remember the new Lotus bike? It
Yeah,
was like the
the
super
Hope
wide
one, right?
fork. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's UCI legal, right?
Yeah, that's for the next Olympics, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that could do something. I don't know.
But yeah, I think it's also like I said before, it's a really big mental activity too. So I think it's just also, if you do everything right, you train for a year, eat perfectly, have the perfect bike. It just comes down on the day and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like if you, because if you already come into it thinking like, oh, it's gonna be an hour, it's gonna be difficult, I don't know if I can do it, like doubting yourself, then you're already lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like having that perfect like inner zen or something. Like everything's going right. But yeah, like
Yeah. What would you think if you were like a top athlete and tomorrow is your chance to change history? What would be your state of mind?
I mean, like for me now, I would be saying like, damn, I'd be excited or like I'd be a bit nervous or like a bit of everything. But I think if you're at that level, you're everyone at that level is super confident in their abilities. Like,
Hmm.
so I would be like if I was gonna if I'm thinking like how I would be reacting, I would probably be excited and nervous at the same time, and like not you're not sure. Oh, it looks tough, or but I'll manage, or I'll. But I think these people, they're like, I've trained, I can do this, I'll do it,
Yeah.
and then they do it.
Just think about that after right pizza waiting for you in the middle of the track.
Like the after ride, the cold shower, the nice cold Coke. Damn, I'm already. Yeah, I'd be thinking of like. I wonder if they actually feel the thirst or the hunger while they're doing this, or if it's just like focusing on everything else.
I don't know because as a personal experience, it happened to me once that I was riding around the track and my coach told me to do like 50 laps and I was like 50 laps, damn. And so I go around and at some point, man, you're just in the zone, and
Yeah,
you're not thinking about anything, you're not really feeling anything. Of course, I was not outputting 100% of of what I do, right?
yeah,
But I don't know. I heard in that interview that that was the secret for the hour record, that you have like your max level, right? Your
yeah,
absolute best performance, and you need to be just under that. But really, like it can be like 1 or 2 watts difference, like 0.5% of power difference, but you need to be just under that and to have the same output during the same hour. Like there's no final sprint because there is nothing left at the end.
mm,
And if you can sprint at the end of the hour record, it means like you haven't put everything down.
no. So that's like really about pacing, then, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, mentally, it must be like one hell of a mental game.
Yeah, I'm kind of like wondering if these, because I think everyone has seen the picture of like the Buddhist monk in Vietnam setting himself on fire, right?
Yeah.
The And I wonder, like, to what if any of these athletes have tried like some like meditation or spirituality just to like more or less ignore the pain, ignore the
Mm,
limits,
yeah.
because it can be done. I mean, it can be done for the monk who was sitting still, not doing anything. I don't know if it can be done for cyclists actually doing something that takes a lot of effort, but it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
if someone can like perfect it or something.
Maybe it's the next step, you know?
Yeah.
Just meditating where you're just rotating your legs and
Yeah. If in the
yeah.
end it's not that much like I don't think there's much that goes into thinking about like the route or anything. You just every round is the same. There's no left, right, or anything. Nothing changes. It's just
Yeah.
you and the velodrome. But I mean, I also read like of these cases. I don't know. Sometimes you see in the news like a 25-year-old, 30-year-old mom or whatever. It's like a mom lifts car to save baby, like
Yeah.
superhuman strength. And I read about that, and it's like someone can correct me if this, but it's been a while. But I think I read somewhere that the brain has like its own like inhibitors to prevent the person from using all of their power, because if they use all of the power or all of their strength or all of their whatever, they will injure themselves. But in the case where there's like a mother trying to save their baby from underneath the car, those inhibitors, those blocking mechanisms, they just disappear for a second, and the woman is able to lift a car she would never be able to lift normally. But that's really then like a life or death situation. So I don't know if an athlete can like do that whenever he or she wants to for a world record. But yeah, it's just the body can do crazy things.
That would be a dangerous game, to train yourself to ignore those inhibitors.
Yeah.
and then use it as your advantage and go around the track breaking records. But you can have like you're definitely paying a price on your body at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, that could be a dangerous game, pushing like the sports forward, but having definitely a toll on your body and on the riders practicing it.
That's why, like, one of the world record holders, I keep forgetting his name. It's not the Scottish guy, not the Italian guy, not the Belgians. Salah.
Wait, I have it
Keep
here.
forgetting.
Sosenka.
Sosenka. I'm pretty sure I read that he was disqualified because he was doping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like 3 times or something. So now I'm just like curious, like, what if they were like UCI records or Olympic records where they allowed like everyone to just fucking dope, do all the drugs they want, see how crazy, what crazy records they can set. Oh sure, do like cocaine before the race. See if you can do 80 kilometers an hour or something like dumb like that, just to see. Oh man, that'd be interesting. Same with like like gorillas. You see how big they are, like muscular and shit.
Yeah.
Imagine if you train them like professionally, like in the gym and nutrition, how big they would be. Oh man, these things I think about sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 60 kilometers per hour. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, man, I hope I see like another world-breaking record in my lifetime, but yeah, I definitely want. I mean, those research made me want to try it as my level, and yeah, just like try it, put some TT bars on, and say just let's go for an hour and let's see what I can do.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. All right. I guess this is pretty much all we have time for today. Pretty good episode if you ask me. Like it was really interesting to do research on that. And yeah, a lot we talked about a lot, and of course everything we discussed today will be in the show notes on the blog slowspinsociety.com. You can find us on our Discord server. The invite link is also in the show notes. You can also send us an email at this address, slowspinpodcast@gmail.com. An email is really appreciated if you have like new ideas for like episodes, or I don't know, like ways to improve the show. We're really looking for that at the moment because, I mean, we're trying to get the show bigger, and yeah, every comment is appreciated, productive ones, of course. You can also find us on our personal Instagram accounts. I go at _Paul_you and at fab.ism. Sharing the podcast with your friend is the easiest way to support the show, or by giving us a good review on the platform of your choice. If you get value out of the show, why not consider putting value back in, or by visiting our Patreon page, patreon.com/slowspinsocietypodcast, to join the community, where pledging at any level will grant you access to the pre and after show, which is around 40 minutes of extra content per week. We are now at 15 Patreons, bringing us even closer to our monthly goal and more privileges for every tier. Thank you so much for your support. The music for the show is Loveless Winter by Maria, and the illustration is by @JuliaJo on Instagram. Good show.
Yes.
Yes. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. And yeah, let's see what you can do in an hour.